Hi families, I'm Anna. I'm a occupational therapist and I work for the Montessori International School with some private clients, and also I do the workshops, and I am working also in the new Rainbow Room for children with any kind of special needs. And I'm going to present you a workshop that I think is very needed and that everybody should know, but nobody teach you in the school. So I'm going to do it today. This is basically what I'm teaching also the kids of the workshops, but this is adapted for the families. And so you're going to learn it in maybe an hour. I don't know how long it's going to be. They will learn it eventually during the course. So we're going to learn about the sensory profiles and emotional regulations in the children. Let's start from the very beginning. So since we are little, we are taught that we have 5 senses, but actually we have 8. Maybe you can find them like 7, and I'm going to explain you why. So the 8 senses, we know the typical one: the olfactory, the tactile, the gustatory, the auditory, and the visual. But we also have another sense that is called the proprioception, and it's basically the awareness of your body. So we have to imagine, let's point at something in the room. For example, you can point at the door. I know my door is there, so I will point at my door using my vision. Now I am going to close my eyes and I'm going to point again to the door. The sense that I'm using now is not the vision, of course, is the proprioception, is the memory of the muscles. So I know how to put my arm like that because I am aware of the position of my body and I know where my arm is. Without proprioception, we wouldn't be able to do this. So it tells you if you're sitting, if you're standing, if your legs are crossed, if you're moving. So it gives you the awareness of your own body. And also, it's confused sometimes with the vestibular, because the vestibular also tells us the orientation of our body, but it's not exactly the position of our body. It's more related with how we are in the space. If we are like this, or if we're like this, if we're like this, or we're upside down. So it tells us the balance and the spatial orientation. We also have some kids that you can see that they start writing with a very big letter and then they end up with very small letter, or they don't know how to put the letters in the paper because they maybe make it super big and super small, or how to organize the space in the paper. That's vestibular. Also, the vestibular is connected with the muscles of the back, and when we activate it, we will improve our body position. So you can see some kids that are writing and they are like this, laying on the table. When you sit them on a ball and you give them movement, like vestibular movement, like up and down, jumping on the ball, automatically they correct the posture because it's connected with the extension of the back of the neck and the back. So the vestibular has some more things, not just the balance, because when you hear vestibular, you hear balance, but it's a little bit more complex. But for you to know that these little things are connected as well. So we also have the interoception system. That one is similar to the proprioception. Sometimes you can find them together. That's why you sometimes can find 8 senses or 7 senses. And it's because sometimes you find the interoception together with the proprioception, because it's also the awareness of the body, but on the body, the internal body. So you know if you need to go to the toilet, if you're hungry. So it is connected with the muscles of the organs, and it tells us if you need to go to the toilet because you feel like the muscles are stretching. So it tells us that. So that's why some kids are not very aware if they need to go to the toilet or not. Maybe their sense of the interoception is not very good. So every person feels the world in a different way depending on how they process the sensory information. For example, there's people that love to be in crowded places, people that prefer to be like in a small TV tent, people that love heights or to jump from the cliff or go on roller coaster, and people that completely hate those. That's related with how we understand the sensory that come from outside. If we are very sensitive to the vestibular, if very little amount of vestibular would make our brain awake, we won't like to be in vestibular situations like roller coaster. But if we need a lot of information of sensory, of this vestibular sense, we will be looking for it. So we will be okay with hikes, we will be okay with roller coasters. The same happens with the touch. If we are very sensitive to the touch, we won't like to be in crowded places. We won't like messy play, or touch different things, or we might be very sensitive to the eating process. We would prefer maybe to be like the child on the left and side as place covered, and that's it, and don't touch me. So our personality will be developed depending on our sensory profile. So how is going to be a person that is looking for this kind of senses all the time? It's going to be maybe an outdoors person, maybe more extrovert, maybe more moody, maybe quite different. A person that is very sensitive is going to be more indoors, more introvert. So that from the very beginning starts to develop our personality from this point. So the sensory profiles are very important to understand how our personality is and why we are the way we are. Let's go to the next one. So what's the sensory integration? So those are the processes in the brain that allow us to take that information that we receive from our senses, organizes and respond to it. So if for me this sense is very nice because I feel the sense and it goes to my brain organizes it, cool information, I will look for more senses like this. But if I reject it, so if I don't like it, the same sense will come to my brain will say no way, I don't like it, so I will start rejecting it. So the same sense can make differences in different brains depending on the person. So every person is different depending on how they modulate that information in the brain. So the sensory intuition exactly is that process. It's the process of the brain processing these senses and organize this information and saying, is this good? Is this bad? Let's do something about it. So the way that we are built is basically the sensory is the base of the pyramid, and from that we will develop the rest. So first sensory, then motor, then social, and then behavior. So the sensory is the base of our behavior. The way we produce, or the way we sense the environment is going to produce a motor response, and then that's going to produce a social response and behavioral response. So social skills are also very related on the way we process the senses. It's not going to be the same. A person that, if we say, super indoors, very shy, it's not that maybe it's not shy, it's just very aware of the touch information, try to avoid it all the time. And we will explain the different sensory profiles so you will understand what I'm talking about. So to understand that, we need to go to this experiment. It's a bit cruel, like most of the experiments in this world, because we are doing whatever we want with the animals. So I really don't remember the name. It was a kind of a snail that has the capacity to reduce his size and then go back to his normal size depending on the input you give to him. So with one of these snails, they gave him some electric shock, and to the other snail they gave them just air, just a puff of air. So the one that was receiving all the time the puff of air was at the beginning was reducing his size. The second puff, a little bit less, then puff, a little bit less, and then he got used to it. So it produced an habituation to the air. Like when we're putting our clothes, it's the same. Like if right now you're listening to me, maybe I don't know, and you're ignoring other noises that are in the room, or maybe other inputs are coming to you. Maybe you're not listening to a dog barking, or you're not looking at the window, or you're just focusing on that because your brain is modulating that other senses or other inputs and getting used to them and ignoring them. So this is what the snail did. He got used to the air, and then he just felt the air, and he didn't change his size. He habituated to it. Then the second snail was in electric shock. They gave him some electricity. He got reduced, another again, reduced, and again, and he reduced. At some point, he was reducing before the electricity came. So instead of creating an habituation to the electricity, what he was creating was a sensitization, I think is the correct word. So desensitization means that you are even more sensitive to this input. So instead of getting used to it, every time you're going to be exposed to that, your alert level goes super high. Now we're going to talk about alerts, but it means that you are even more sensitive to it, more sensitive. So it's like if you try maybe to fight your fear to spiders, and the first day they put you a spider in the face, I'm sure that you're going to be even more scared of spiders. This is more or less the same. The process of desensitization is not like giving you a spider on your face. So the electricity is the same, because the human being cannot get used to the pain. So in this case, this is what happened. Well, and the animals, you never get used to pain, so this was painful, and instead of getting used to it, he got more sensitive. This also happens to the children that have a difficulty in the processing of the information, and that we're making them get exposed to this information, and instead of helping them, we are making it worse. We'll talk about it. So let's talk about the brain a little bit more. So we have to imagine a balance, okay? And in one side we have the parasympathetic system, on the other side we have the sympathetic system. As you can see in the slide, the parasympathetic is controlling the constriction of the pupil, the heartbeat, and make it slow. And on the other side, the sympathetic one is the one that dilates the pupil, increases the heartbeat, makes the blood go to the muscles and move. So they are opposite, and one can work when the other one is working. So this is what our moms used to tell us, especially in Spain. We've been told all our life that after lunch you couldn't go to the beach or to swim or to do exercise, and we were told like we need to wait like 2 hours. And even if it's not exactly true, it has a scientific base, and it's because the parasympathetic system after lunch it's working, and it's like this, no? So it's sending the blood to the intestine. Let's go to the next slide so you will understand. Let's say that the fight or flight response is controlled by the sympathetic system, and the Garfield one is the parasympathetic system. So Garfield right now is just finished his lasagna and is resting. So he's activating his parasympathetic system and is sending the blood to the stomach to make the digestion, and the blood is there, it's working on what it has to work. And then suddenly we ask Garfield to run super fast, and we're asking that blood that is right now in the stomach to go to the muscles. So the blood will go to the muscle to survive, to activate the fight or flight response, because maybe, I don't know, we're putting a very dangerous dog in the house and he needs to run, he needs to escape. So we're making the parasympathetic stop working and work the sympathetic system and send the blood to the muscle to run. So maybe we can cut the digestion. And that's a dangerous thing. But of course, it's not that simple, like you just finish a cookie and then you cannot swim in 2 hours. No, it's not like that. You need to eat a cow and then go in a marathon. Okay, so don't worry about that. You don't need 6 hours after eating to go to the beach. So this is how it works basically. This is the alert level. We're talking about the sympathetic system is the line above and the parasympathetic is the line below, and we go moving from one to the other during the day. So we wake up, if you are one of those persons that wake up super fast, and then you wake up like with your sympathetic system super active, so your line will go super high. Then you will relax again, maybe you're having breakfast, then you're late to work and you go up again. So we're moving up and down, up and down. This is functional. This is what it should happen. What is not functional is when we have anxiety and our brain is all the time demanding the sympathetic system and asking for us to be in an alert mode, even if we don't need it. So that's basically the anxiety. So when we talk about the self-regulation and the different sensory profiles, I'm going to explain them to you in this slide. You have here a cross. Okay, we have to imagine that this cross that go ups and down is the amount of sensory information that I need to give to you for you to be aware of it. So how much do I need to touch you for you to feel my finger touching your hand? So the more I need to be touching you, the less sensitive you are, no? So you will be up there where it says hypersensitive. And if with just a little bit of touch you are aware of it, you are hypersensitive. So you have a low neurological threshold. And an hypersensitivity is called also a high neurological threshold. So we have that line cover, okay, depending on your threshold, very high or very low. And then the other line across is the self-regulation, if it is passive or if it is active. So do I do something about it? If I need a lot of information for me to be aware of it, do I look for information to be aware of it, or I don't? So if I am very sensitive to an information, do I avoid it or I don't? So depending on what the child or the person does, he will be an active or a passive. So we will have different sensory profiles. You can see that there are 4, depending on how you register the information and what you do about it. So a child, let's go to the lower, okay? A child that is hypersensitive and tries to escape from the sensory information. So if I'm about to touch him, he's going to escape. So he's called a sensation avoider or avoider. If the child will accept me, but he will do like this, accepting that I am touching him, but then maybe he will have a meltdown, or then maybe he will start moving or doing something crazy, behavior that we don't really understand why he's behaving the way he's behaving, then he will be a sensory sensitive. So it's doing nothing to avoid the information, but the information is causing some effect in his brain, but he will behave after. Then if the child is hypersensitive and he does something active to look for that information, so I am not receiving any information from this, so I'm going to touch the person, I'm going to look for this information, I'm called a sensory seeker. So I seek for this information. It's a child that's going to be all the time moving, all the time looking, all the time touching. You can be sensory seeker in terms of touch. So it's a person that's going to be like super close to you, and that person that talks to you like here and doesn't understand the distance. So this person are normally a sensory seeker because they are not aware of the personal space. They don't register that information. And then we have people that is very sensitive and they maintain a big distance with the others. The people that is touching you all the time or touching your hair, they are looking for this sensory information. So that's why we have different personalities. And we don't understand sometimes why people behave the way they are. Why are they touching me? I don't like you. Why are you touching me? And it's not like they are touching you because they like you. It's because this is the profile they have. They need to be touching people. or they need to move all the time. That person that is all the time sitting and is moving or is making noises with the pencil, they need to be looking for information all the time. So you can be a searcher of tactile information, but an avoider of vestibular. Maybe you don't like the vestibular information, so you don't go to roller coaster. You try to escape from the lift, or you prefer not to live in the top of the building. So this you can have different sensory profile depending on the sense that we are talking about. You can be looking for proprioception all the time but escaping from the touch. So when we talk about the child that is hyposensitive or hypersensitive, we never talk about the whole profile. We talk about one sense or two, but not the whole profile. The child can be hyposensitive to something and hypersensitive to something else, and can also be hypersensitive in the head and hypersensitive in the body, because there are different nerves. So it's quite complex. That's why we need a full evaluation of an occupational therapist to really understand the profile of the child. But we can more or less know, we can guess some things from our child just by knowing this and by knowing our child. So let's go to the next part of the slide that are more about the emotional regulation. Okay, so the emotional regulation is that person's ability to manage and respond to an emotional response. Now we're not talking about sensory, we're talking about emotions. Okay, so it's that consciousness of that relationship between the emotion and cognition and behavior, to develop coping strategies. Is that capacity to auto-generate positive emotions out of a bad situation. To understand this emotional regulation, we have to go very low, like in the from when we are born. We are born with an unfinished brain. So we have two brains. You can see in the slide, like it's like a building. So the primal brain, the one is below, is done, is finished, but the one that is up there, the rational brain, is unfinished, and it won't be finished until 25, maybe 30. So the lower brain we have here is in control of our automatic and self-preserving behavior patterns. With that, we're talking about the breathing, blinking, and strong emotion like anger and fear. So it's that limbic system, and it's like the reptile brain. So it will respond automatically without we thinking about what we are doing. It controls also the fight or flight response. So you can see that is in the very lower brain, and when a child is rejecting your kisses, it's not like he doesn't love you, it's because his brain is reacting strongly to that feeling without him being able to control it. It's not something logic, it's not something he would like you to feel like he's rejecting you. He's just having a fight or flight response, and he cannot control it. So we are going to talk about the different areas of the limbic system. So the amygdala is going to put the label of the emotion. I felt this was fear, so I put the label. When I saw this spider the first day, I was scared, it bit me, whatever, I got scared, spiders, scared. So we put the label on the spider. And it sends to the hippocampus, and the hippocampus is like the Google search. So next time you put spider, you're going to say fear. Okay, let's go. Makes a puzzle with all the feelings that we have, and says spider, same as ants, and okay, bugs, fear. Okay, so it's makes like a puzzle with all the information that he has. The amygdala also controls, this is something very important, also the face decoder. So if you're angry, if you're scared, if you're sad, it helps us recognize the emotions on other persons. We have to think about the autism now. We will see in the next slide, okay? And also it sends to the brainstem the information, and the brainstem is like the dog, the guardian dog of the brain, and it will activate the fight or flight response. So you can see there the dog protecting the girl. So this is the same. So what happened with the autistic children? In the amygdala, we have seen that there is an hyperactivation when the child is having an eye contact. That's why maybe they don't want to have an eye contact. And there is a lower activation to understand the facial expressions. That's why maybe they don't understand if you're angry, if you're sad, and the context of what they're doing. Maybe they are laughing and the other person is super sad. They don't get it. They don't get it. And this amygdala sends information to the prefrontal cortex. We will talk about it now. To modulate and control the emotional responses. What happened? That the prefrontal cortex is not finished until we are 25, and this is the one that controls this kind of emotions. Now we're going to talk about it. First, let's see some other stress responses in kids. We are not just talking about the fight or flight. In a child, we can find different ways of activating this fight or flight response. You can see there's fight, there's flight, and there is freeze. So, for example, the clear one is yelling, screaming, using mean words, hitting, kicking, biting, throwing, punching. Everything that is more obvious is the fight response. Then the flight one is running away, escape, fidgeting, maybe very, very active. Like you can see, like they are very active in the movement, procrastinating, anxious basically. And then you can see the freeze response. It's like shutting down, mind goes blank, they isolate themselves, they say I don't know. It's like the child, when you see that they are not answering to anything, that they are completely freeze. So you can recognize a child when he's having this behavior. It means that their primal brain is there, their alert level is super high, they're activating the fight or flight response, they are considering something as a danger. So let's see, how can we modulate this information? How can we calm down? How can we shut the fight response? So we need our prefrontal cortex. We've been talking about before that it's not finished until we're 25, 30 years old. So we're building it, and at the end, the prefrontal cortex, what it makes is to give us that capacity to have empathy, insight, response, flexibility, emotional regulation, body regulation, morality, intuition, attuned communication, and fear modulation. So it's basically what we're demanding in a child, and that he's just not ready to have. So he's learning it, and we need to teach him how to do it. So how do we do it? How do we teach our child to control their emotions, to be mature in these areas? How to do it right? So self-regulation is a learning process, and we need to teach them how to do it. We need to teach them coping strategies, and basically they are copying us. So the first thing we need to do is to take ourselves, go to the psychology, learn how to regulate ourselves, and then be able to teach our child. But of course, some people just don't need it because they know it, but we need to be prepared ourselves before being able to teach our child. I'm going to give you some tips, but I recommend you to work on this yourself. So since we are babies, we have different ways to self-regulate. That is the light, the movement, and the sound. So since we're a baby, for example, you can see that one of the first regulation strategies is to suck the finger. And it keeps on going till we are all grown-ups and people is smoking, because it's basically the same regulation strategy. So the babies calm down with the sucking. You can see that then with the breast as well, they calm down. That's why sometimes they are just sucking without being hungry, just because they want to calm down. So it's a self-regulation strategy. As well, we put them lights because they love to calm down with the light. They love looking at them, and the movement and the sound. So basically, what we're giving them with an iPad? Light, movement, and sound. So the light, movement, and sound of the iPad is the immediate reward. So we are giving the brain a fast reward to calm down. The brain does not learn any other strategy to calm down. They grow without any regulation strategies and a low frustration tolerance. So to learn how to tolerance the frustration, we need to be exposed to this frustration, and then to find a way to calm down. But if the child is shouting, is screaming, is bad, and what we give to him is the phone or the iPad, we're giving him a fast reward, an immediate one that is not going to help them to develop any other strategy to calm down. So, okay, now we know the theory of the problem, so what's the solution? Okay, we can use some sensory integration strategies as well to calm down. So an occupational therapist can evaluate your child and offer them the amount of sensory information they need to regulate their levels. So I'm going to give you a tip right now. If you don't know what to do, use proprioception. That's the Joker card that works for everything. So if your child is very dysregulated, like emotionally, in his behavior, everything, go to swimming pool and make him swim, or give him a boxing sack and make him box, or climbing also give him proprioception. Everything that you need to use your muscles super strong, going under chairs like a soldier, jumping as well. So that's the best thing. And then you can find sensory strategies that that maintain him calm. For example, maybe weighted blanket if he's a child that goes like the first one that we saw between the pillows, or you can give him a lycra seat so he can go inside. And the lycra seat, you can find them in Amazon. Maybe you can do it yourself. I bought some lycras and I make a hole and sew around, and you have a lycra suit for yourself. You can reduce the sounds of the room and the lights, or go outdoors. Outdoors is always a good sensory strategy. Go outdoors, I mean to the forest. Don't go to the middle of the street, because that doesn't regulate the person, because you can have different sounds, the noises of the street. That is not a good regulation strategy. But the forest, that's amazing. Those outdoors are amazing, and you always have a child super regulated after being in the forest. From the very beginning in the children, the babies, the importance of the occupations, okay? So this is what my child can do by himself, and this is what I'm doing for him. So maybe he is able to put the teacher by himself, but because I'm in a rush, I'm going to put it for him. Or maybe he's able to put his shoes on by himself, but he needs maybe just some help of me to finish the last part. But because he cannot do it yet, I'm going to do it by myself. So the more we do for them that they are able to do, the worst, because it's this importance of waiting. This is going to work on the frustration tolerance. If we're doing everything for them, they are not going to learn how to frustrate and how to solve their own problems. So they need to wait. For example, in this case, this baby is pointing at this duck because it's asking for it, and we're automatically, all the families around and giving him the duck. He's doing right, he's pointing, at some point he's doing what he can do, but he's not waiting for it. So we will take the duck or another object that is close to it, and we'll say, which one do you want? This one or this one? This one? No, this one. This one. Maybe you can make jokes about it, and the child is laughing and he's waiting at the same time, and maybe he's trying to talk as well and saying this, or maybe he's saying something like that. So we're also starting to make them talk. So this waiting is going to then develop a better frustration tolerance, because if we're giving them everything super fast, then they don't know how to wait, and this is going to be super frustrating for the rest of their life, like to not work on the process to obtain a reward. So more of this, more Montessori, and less of this, less light, movements, and sound in iPads, these robots, this kind of new toys that have lights and movement and everything, because this is going to give them this fast reward, but they are not going to work on those skills they need to find the different uses you can give to a stick. How many things can I do with a stick? This is going to help them grow a lot of different abilities, and it's going to grow this brain that we were talking about. I'm going to give you 4 steps to teach emotional regulation in a child. So this is basically what I did to take all the books that I read, and I reduce it to 4 steps. Let's take them wisely and let's use it. So we go to the supermarket and our son wants us to buy him chocolate. We said no, and he starts a tantrum. What can we do? First step, connect. Connect is like to make a story what happened. Like, I understand you. I know you really want the chocolate. I also love chocolate. Come on, give me a hug. I love it. I will love chocolate as well. Wow, this is my favorite. This chocolate with this one or this one? Which one is my favorite? This one. Ah, mine is too. You're connecting with the child, and you are also at the same time showing him that you understand him. And you are making his story understand why you want the chocolate, understand that you're super frustrated because mommy is not buying it to you. So the second one would be labeled emotion. So you're angry with me right now. I know, I understand. I will be also very angry if I couldn't have what I want. It's so upsetting. So you're putting the level of the emotion he's feeling: angry, upset, frustrating. You decide. But then you have to put the limit, the boundary. But that's the but. But we agreed that we could only buy 1 chocolate a week. And we bought one yesterday. Do you remember? Can you remember it? And then we redirect. Is this chocolate the one that you want for next week? Okay, let's take a picture of it. And we won't forget this is the one that we want, and we will buy it next week. So you find another strategy to calm him down. You find a way to escape from the situation, but the redirect can never be buy the chocolate, okay? Or buy another thing. So it will be a way for him to calm down. You can also use sensory strategies here to redirect. What can we make what can we do to make you feel better? Maybe you want to jump, maybe you want a super strong hug, maybe you want to run up and down, and then we calm down. So you're teaching him self-regulation strategies, also sensory. You can use sensory, or you can use cognitive strategy like this. Like, I take a picture and next week this is the one that we're going to have. Or maybe we can cook something. If you never buy him chocolate in the supermarket, maybe okay, let's cook then something in the house. Let's make it in the house, or tomorrow, I don't know. But you find your own way to redirect and find your own strategies. You know your child better than me. You can also let him decide how to calm down by himself. This is a good way for him to learn how to self-regulate. So sometimes you just ask him, what could make you feel less angry, or what will make you feel better? What can you do to feel a bit better when you feel so upset? So you give him the chance to decide by himself what he can do to calm down. Sometimes they are looking for you for answers, and they actually know what to do, and sometimes it will surprise you. Once one child was super sad, and the mom said that, what can I do? And he said, a hug. Okay, that's it. She gave him a hug, and he was fine. So also I would like to talk to you about different situations, traumatic situations, for example. The good strategy will be to talk about it again and again and again. We don't hide things under the carpet. For example, this mom was shouted by a man while driving, and the child was really upset and started to be scared of every single man in the car. We could not walk with him on the street, because every time he sees a man in a car, he will run, even walking, he will run away. this child is autistic, or he doesn't have the capacity to process this information better. We adapt this information to him. We put it in I have an app that is called Let Me Talk, and you can put pics. So you talk about it once and again and again and again. Yesterday, a man shouted to mom in the car. Mom was very upset. You were very scared. Right. Mom, today is okay. She's happy and fine. We talk about this situation one and again and again and again. The child needs to understand what he lived, so we need to accompany him in this emotion. In this case, we don't need to put boundaries. We just need to talk about it. We need to do only one, the first step and the one or second step. Or maybe the redirect as well. So, for example, there is a book that I'm going to recommend you that they talk about a car accident, that the child was in the middle of a car accident and they took the nanny to the hospital. So instead of hiding it, no, everything is fine, everything is okay, you're fine, the nanny is fine. No, we talk about it. I know you were scared, you saw the nanny and the ambulance took it, there was a crash and the car is broken and it was very scary and you got hurt and blah blah blah. We talk about it once and again, and the next day again and again and again and again. We're helping him connect the brain, like to understand the situation. And then when we have teenagers that come to the house and we said to him, how was the school? They will know what to tell us, because we have been working on this storytelling the whole time. We've been teaching them how to organize the information in the brain and express it. For example, yeah, mommy, today I had a problem with another girl in the school. She told me this, and then I said this, and then it made me feel like this. So they will be able to tell this story instead of, no, I'm fine. You're fine, you're fine, you're fine. Then he will say, no, I'm fine, because we've been hiding all the problems under the carpet. Should we punish the child? I always say no, never. Why? Because they won't learn how to solve a problem. They will evaluate if the punishment is worth it. Okay, they told me to be at home at 12, but if I don't, tomorrow I won't have access to the iPad. Should I prefer to stay today till 3 a.m. and then tomorrow have iPad? Okay, it's worth it. So they will evaluate, they will do their maths and say this is worth it or not, but they won't act because of what they feel is right. They will also learn how to punish. So if you don't give me your ball, I won't give you whatever. They are learning how to punish other kids by being punished. That's the process they learn. And you can see a lot in children that are playing like to be a mommy, or you can see a lot in girls because they do more role playing with babies, and they're punishing the babies. That's what they are doing. They're learning how to treat the child by punishment and reinforcement. So they're, oh, so you didn't eat the food, so you go here and then you stay in the bed 1 hour. And you can see the girls doing that because that's the way they learn how to be treated. So they need to learn through consequences, not punishes. So if they painted the wall, the consequence is then you have to clean the wall. But not, you don't have an iPad, that the iPad is not the real consequence of the painting the wall. When the wall is clean, then you can have the iPad, but the consequence is you need to clean the wall. There's no way. You can escape from this. This is the direct consequence of not behave or bad behaving. The blind obedience does not exist. We need to explain the kids why. The logic side of the brain needs answer to integrate the emotional side of the brain. So show them your real thoughts. Show them, for example, I'm going to put you an example. A child was playing out in the garden, but the garden had access to the road. Like if you throw the ball out of the wall, there will be cars outside. So this mom was scared that if she goes inside the house with the baby, the two bigger kids will lose the ball and they go outside and the car will crush them. So instead of telling them this, what she said was, go inside, it's going to be night. It was 5 p.m, was not nighttime. And they were, of course, they knew it was a lie. So they said, no way. So what is the real thing that we need to do here? What we did in this situation is tell them the truth. Tell them why you want them inside. And she said, look, I'm worried because if you throw the ball outside and then you go and the car can crush you. So that's why I'm worried. And that's why I would prefer you to be inside. How can we solve the situation? And the kid said, okay, mommy, if the ball goes outside, I will go in the house and tell you so you can help us taking the ball back. And that's it. That's what happened. The ball went outside at some point. They went inside. They tell the mommy went outside, helped them. And that's it. They solved the problem. And the kids understood why the mom was saying what she was saying. So we never lie to a child. I said that if we lie to a child, we are lost. They will know that we're lying to them. So they really need to trust in us. And we need also to show them that we trust in them. This mom showed to this child that she was trusting in him by saying, I trust in you. I leave you here and I trust that if the ball is going to be outside, you are not going to go outside. You're going to come, tell me, and then I will help you. I am trusting in you. The child behaved much better after that if she put the kids inside the house without any explanation. Recommendations. So I will recommend you these books, The Whole Brain Child. This is amazing. And then you have the second one that is No Drama Discipline, but you can also read the No Drama Discipline by itself. And then from the same author, you have the Parenting from the Inside Out, and then you have also one for teenagers. Right now I don't remember the name, but you will find from Daniel Siegel. You can find you put Daniel Siegel teenagers and you will find it. And then from Geners, you have the sensory integration and the child, that is to understand better the first part of the slides. And that's it. Thank you very much. I hope you enjoy it. This is my contact details. I'm the school anyway, and hope you liked it and you understood yourself and your children a little bit more. Thank you very much. Goodbye.